Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related channel on YouTube, the John Campea YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is all the time, to have you guys joining me here on the channel, and this is a special companion video. Now, this companion video is also to make up for the earlier John Campea Show, because we started having audio problems on the John Campea Show earlier, which meant we had to cut the show a little bit short. So we're going to get all caught up on all the questions that we still had outstanding from that show. So let's not waste any time and dive right into it. And our first question today, we're going to start getting caught up on, comes to us from Ryan Close. And Ryan Close writes, what are your most anticipated movies for the first quarter of 2020? Well, a couple of things come to mind right off the bat. One is obviously Mulan. I'm very excited about Mulan. I'm very excited about, we talked about this earlier on the show today, I'm very excited about Fantasy Island. I'm very excited about, well, obviously the most important one to me, though, is Quiet Place 2. Quiet Place 2. That's one of my most anticipated films of the year. So there's that as well. Also in the first quarter, there is The Gentleman. The Gentleman, I think it's just The Gentleman, the one with Matthew McConaughey, and it's directed by Guy Ritchie, which looks like a return to form for Guy Ritchie. So I'm really excited about that. So off the top of my head, those are the few films that I'm really excited about for the first part of 2020. All right, Willow writes, I'm disappointed that you didn't say to Swoop, what kind of customer service is this? Okay, so for those of you who don't know what she's talking about, so I was supposed to go home over the Christmas holidays. And I was, because of flight delays and stuff like that, I was going to miss my connecting flight in Las Vegas to Hamilton, which is my hometown. And I had this big drama with this new Canadian airline that's owned by a very large, predominant Canadian airline called WestJet. But this subsidiary company of theirs is called Swoop, and they really screwed me over. They really, really screwed me over. And I told the story about that on the show before, about how they screwed me over and what they did and all that kind of stuff. And this is just a joke of an airline. And I would never recommend that anybody try them or go with them. But yeah, I probably should have said, what kind of customer service is this? That's probably what I should have done. All right. Eric C. writes, you emphatically said people enjoyed Rise of Skywalker over The Last Jedi. Where are you getting this from? The Last Jedi had a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and an A cinema score. The Rise of Skywalker is currently sitting at 55% on Rotten Tomatoes and a B cinema score. Yeah, that's true. But I get my information from two different places. One, I have thousands of film fans interact with me every day. And so I get a lot of my information from there. Now, that's still just anecdotal. That's still just anecdotal evidence. The main place, besides just my personal experience of hearing just from a lot more people who enjoyed The Rise of Skywalker more than The Last Jedi, is now Rotten Tomatoes has verified user submitted reviews. Now, it used to be before that just any Yahoo can jump on, even if they'd never seen the movie, and just write whatever they want. If they had agendas, it threw it off. So it made Rotten Tomatoes audience ratings completely useless. But now on Rotten Tomatoes, what they have is a system where it verifies that you actually saw the movie. Because unless the people who are submitting reviews can verify that they saw them, a user review is completely useless to me if I have no way of knowing that that person actually saw the movie. So Rotten Tomatoes instituted the system, who are owned by the same company that owns Fandango. They instituted a system where, hey, if somebody actually has a Fandango ticket, they can register an actual user review because we know that they saw the movie. And as a result, you have an actual, for the first time ever, an actually usable user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And we never used to have those before. And now we do. And we know from that like 86% of the audiences went to go see it, enjoyed it. Now that still means there were a bunch of people that didn't enjoy it. But yeah, those are the two places I'm getting it from. Of course, that's far from scientific, but my personal experience and my interaction with fans, but also the verified user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as well. Okay. Thanks for writing that in, Eric. All right. Ben Rayner writes, hey, John and crew, Happy New Year's, and I hope it's a great one for you guys. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate that. John, yesterday, Monday, Harloff said that he's done with Star Wars. I get it, but I'm just curious, does that mean no more dark side, light side? Just curious. Happy New Year's again. All right. So I wasn't planning on addressing this early because I didn't know Christian was going to mention that on his own show. But for those of you who don't know, once Christian left the place where he was working, he and I decided, because we both knew we wanted to work together again. And we initially got really excited and got ahead of ourselves and said, look, we're going to do 2 shows together every week. Well, then we realized 2 shows was going to be too much because he's super busy and I'm super busy. So we dropped that down to 1 show. And that 1 show was going to be Dark Side, Light Side. Because he and I have been wanting to talk Star Wars together. He and I have a lot of fun talking Star Wars together. And so we decided we were going to do Dark Side, Light Side. Well, a couple of things happened. Number one, first of all, I'm already really busy and Christian's already really busy. But that aside, something, I don't think he's announced what it is yet. So I'm going to keep it quiet myself, but something else has kind of come up for Christian that's kind of exciting. That is, once again, going to take up more of his time. And then something came up for me, which I have not announced yet, but that I'm already working on, that is also going to take up more of my time. And it sounds like Christian revealed on his show that he's, whether it's because of the fandom or whatever, he's just not having a lot of fun talking about Star Wars anymore. And it sounds like he said that himself on his show there. So I don't feel bad saying that, but so he and I talked a couple weeks ago and we decided, you know what? Fact of the matter is, now that The Mandalorian is done and over, and now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters, it's in its theatrical run now, we know there's an Obi-Wan show coming, but as of right now, we have no idea when an Obi-Wan show, we have no idea when the next Star Wars thing is coming. We have no idea when the next Star Wars movie is coming. They have a 2022 date, but as that 2022 date was for Benioff and Weiss, and now they're gone, we don't even know if we're getting a Star Wars movie in 2022. So we don't even know when the next Star Wars show is. We don't know when the next Star Wars movie is. Christian has gotten really busy. I've gotten really busy. And, you know, and then Christian's lost a little bit of his fun for talking Star Wars online. So we chatted and we said, you know what? It looks dumb that we just got started doing it. And it does. It looks dumb that we just got started doing this. And we were going to do 2 weekly shows. But the reality is, even though it kind of looks dumb that we only did like 5 or 6 episodes, the reality has just gotten in the way. And so, listen, you will still see Christian pop up on the John Campea Show from time to time. You're still going to see him pop up here and there. You're still going to see Christian and I do the odd thing here and there together for sure. But yeah, unfortunately, circumstances kind of made it such a way that doing Dark Side, Light Side isn't really practical anymore. Now, some people might say, but John, you know, you could do Dark Side, Light Side without Christian. You know, you had Kyle Newman on, you can get other people, you could do it without Christian. And that is true. I could do it without Christian. However, that being said, one of the main reasons I wanted to do Dark Side, Light Side was so that it was, you know, Christian and I could do stuff together. On top of that, I am still really busy. And on top of that, it doesn't change the fact that we don't even know when the next Star Wars is coming out. So you might see the return of Dark Side, Light Side at some point down the road. But yeah, it looks like for now, Dark Side, Light Side is done. We gave it a go. We gave it a try. We tried to make it fit into our schedules. But again, it's the mixture of schedules and the fact that we don't even know when the next Star Wars thing is coming out. And so that being said, and we know Rebels is coming, or Star Wars Clone Wars is coming, but I don't really watch Clone Wars. So it just kind of made it so, well, this sucks. But hey, you know what? We had a lot of fun doing the episodes that we did. We kind of considered Dark Side, Light Side as a limited series that we did. We had a lot of fun doing it. I know you guys had a lot of fun watching it, and we're really grateful that you did. And listen, I'm always the type of guy that I'm never going to be afraid to jump out and do something and try it. And if it doesn't work for whatever reasons, then it doesn't work. And I will try more things and do things with more people moving forward. And if it works, we keep going on going. And if it doesn't work, then we pull the plug on it. No big deal. But unfortunately, that was one of the things with this. So yes, as of right now, Dark Side, Light Side is going to be put on hiatus. I'm not saying it's canceled. I'm saying it's going to be put on hiatus. We will reevaluate once we know when new Star Wars stuff is coming, and, you know, as we get closer to that proximity. So there you go, Ben. I hope that answers that question. Speaking of Star Wars, hello, Babu Freak send in a tip. Thank you so much, Babu Freak. I love Babu Freak in the new movie. I don't like Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, but I gotta admit, I really did like Babu Freak. Tyler Lindsay writes, after hearing Rob talk about it constantly, I decided to sit down and watch Tough Turf. He's always talking about Tough Turf. I enjoyed it. James Spader can do no wrong in my opinion. I'm like you, Tyler. I had to sit down and give it a try. James Spader, Robert Downey Jr., Tough Turf from the 80s, you know. Rob was just talking about it so constantly, I had to follow suit. I sat down and gave it a try. I couldn't get through it. I love James Spader. I love Robert Downey Jr. But man, I'm glad you got through it, but I just could not get through it myself. All right. Eduardo Hernandez writes, by the way, am I on the right one? Yes. Eduardo Hernandez writes, hey, John, Happy New Year's. Thank you so much, Eduardo. My question to you is, what do you use for your streaming services, as in an Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, or just your regular TV apps? And where do you purchase your non-physical movies? All right. Thanks a lot for asking that, Eduardo. My main go-to for purchasing my non-physical medium movies is Google Play. I use the Google Play Store. And there's no real particular reason. It's just that everything I want is there. I'm very immersed in the Google ecosphere. I use Google a lot for just about everything. And it's just a convenient way to do it. And it connects into Movies Anywhere as well, if you're somebody who likes Movies Anywhere. So I just get my movies that I buy from Google Play Store. As far as what device do I use for my streaming services, I am a Roku guy. I tried Apple TV, and I like Apple TV. I like the Apple TV very much. We've got two smart TVs, one with its own built-in apps, and it's fine, but it really started to sing once I attached a Roku player to it. And then another smart TV that Ann and I have in our bedroom, it has Roku built in. So I have tried... one of the other boxes. What was one of the other companies that did it? I can't remember now off the top of my head, but I tried one from another service. I tried the Apple TV, and the Apple TV is good, but I just found the Roku experience to be the best experience. It has the most robust selection, more channels, more private channels you can add as well. It's just a lot more stuff you can do with Roku, I find. So I particularly like using the Roku. Canada Rocks writes, thank you, Rob, for your recommendation of Don't F with Cats. He was just telling me about that this morning. It's fantastic. Kind of a real-life searching. I didn't realize this was about the Canadian murderer, Luca Magnotta. He was a big story up here a few years back. I second Rob's recommendation. And yeah, Rob actually came in here this morning and was saying, John, listen, if you have not started watching this F Cats thing, or Don't F with Cats, you really got to check it out. And so he was singing the praises of it to me today, and I might have to check it out. Here's the thing. In Canada, when there's a murderer, it's big news because it's very rare. So when there's a killer in Canada, it becomes very, very big news. In Chicago, when there's murders, they call it lunchtime on Tuesdays. But it's a big deal up there. So I'm going to have to check it out at some point. I am going to have to check it out. All right, Canada Rocks also writes, I think I need to add that the show I recommended is very disturbing and upsetting. I just want to make sure people are aware of that before they check it out. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, it's like a docuseries, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, and I think the way Rob describes it to me, because he described the opening of it to me, he said it's a 3-part docuseries. He says the very opening, you would know right away. So you're in for a very, very disturbing time. But I think I got to check it out because Rob is just singing its praises. All right. James Germain writes, hey, John, Happy New Year's. Thank you so much. So over under 25% that the Mandalorian Blacksmith is secretly Bo-Katan in self-exile. I know how you feel about too much connection in Star Wars universe, but I think there could be a chance. What do you think? And thank you. Well, listen, I've heard other people say that theory before. Now, of course, one of the great characters in Mandalorian that doesn't get a lot of screen time, but what screen time she has, she shines, is, of course, the Mandalorian Blacksmith, who's also clearly the leader of that Mandalorian covert. She's clearly the leader. And, of course, in the Mandalorian finale, she really gets an opportunity to shine. I think I'm not going to give anything away for those of you who maybe have not seen it, but for those of you who have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She gets an opportunity in the finale to really shine. And as a result of that scene, a number of people have raised the theory, especially understanding how the show ends, could that character actually be Bo-Katan? from the Star Wars animated stuff and a lot of the lore. And it's hard to give a very thorough answer because I want to make sure I don't go into spoilers here. And so I'll just answer the question without going into the details as to why, because I don't want to give anything away. I'll go so far as to say it's a 50-50 shot she's Bo-Katan. I think it's a 50-50 shot, like a total coin toss. So I believe there is a very strong possibility that could be her. I mean, it very well might not be. But I'm going to say it's right down the middle of a chance on that, James. All right, Carla writes, hey, Camp, what do you think about the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being nominated for Best Musical at the Golden Globes? I think this shows how much of a joke they are. Well, listen, Carla, you're preaching to the choir. I talk every year about how I believe the Golden Globes are a total waste of time and they're a total joke. They put on a great show. Make no mistake about that. The Golden Globes put on a great show. Absolutely a fabulous, fabulous show that they put on. That said, the awards themselves are meaningless. Anyway, getting to the point. Now, to be clear, they didn't nominate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for Best Musical. They have a stupid category called Best Musical or Comedy. Why those two are put together, I have no idea. But the category it was actually nominated for was Best Musical or Comedy. So if they can, then again, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has some very funny moments, but I don't consider it a comedy. But whatever. So yes, I think the Golden Globes are useless. I think they're dumb. I don't think they're worth being a paperweight. But to be fair, it wasn't that they were nominated for Best Musical. They were nominated for Best Musical or Comedy. And you can make an argument, I suppose, that you could qualify Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a comedy. But again, it's the fact that that category even exists is so stupid. It's either Best Picture or it's not. But anyway, that's the way they look at it, Carla. So you and me both, Carla. You and me both. All right, Darth Hideous writes, hey, gang, long time. I have a question for all of you. Well, unfortunately, it's just me right now. Kind of a two-parter. One, do you think Disney will always have their main episodic movies revolve around the Force and lightsabers? Two, do you think they should always incorporate the Force? I don't think Star Wars always has to have the Force. The thing is, the Force is such... When you understand what the Force is in Star Wars, there's a lot to do there with the Force, right? There's a lot to do there with the Force. So it would be understandable that the Force does play a role in a lot of the stuff that they do. I think they're major episodic, because I do believe at some point Star Wars is going to do Star Wars Episode 10. I think at some point there will be Star Wars Episode 10. I don't think it'll be about Rey. I don't think it'll necessarily be about Poe and Finn, but I think there will be a new story and they'll call it Star Wars Episode 10. And I do kind of think, I have no insider information on this. This is just me speculating as a fan. I do sort of think that will have the episodic movies incorporating the Force. I think we will have the episodic movies incorporating the Force. Do I think all their movies will? No. Do I think all their movies should? No, not necessarily. But I think the episodic ones will. That's my guess right now. Srinivas writes, hey, John, wanted to know your opinion on His Dark Materials. I've seen all the episodes. I enjoyed the show, but felt the pacing was too fast. I have only seen the first episode. And I very much like the first episode. I like the first episode very, very much. But I've just never gotten around to watching the rest of them. So so that's all I can say right now. I've seen the first episode. I really liked it, but I have not watched the rest of the shows yet. Now that I've got The Witcher done and I've got Mandalorian done, I can probably now jump on. I've got 2 series that I've already started that I need to get through now. And that is The Expanse Season 4, which I'm only 1 episode into, and the His Dark Materials, which I'm only 1 episode into. So now that I got Mandalorian and Witcher down, it's time for me to jump on those. All right, Taki75 writes, best Christmas movie, The Lion in Winter. I had a buddy of mine do a stage show of Lion in Winter, as a matter of fact, one time, which is true. I don't know that is a Christmas movie. Again, listen, this all revolves around the debate about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It's not. But it depends on how you define what is a Christmas movie. To me, a Christmas movie is a movie that is about Christmas. Die Hard is not about Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life really is. Miracle on 34th really is. Christmas Carol really is. I mean, you can say it's also about other things, but one of the things the movie is about is Christmas. Die Hard is not about Christmas. It takes place at Christmas time. So whenever if people say to me, I define a Christmas movie as any movie that takes place at Christmas. Okay, if that is the definition, then certainly there are a bunch of movies that then are Christmas movies, including Die Hard. If that's our definition, then yes, I will concede that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. However, if you define it the way I define a Christmas movie is a movie that is not just happens at Christmas time, but is a movie about Christmas, then Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. So it really all depends on and I think The Lion in Winter will also comes into that. All right, Kenneth Colton writes, hey, Giovanni, as 2019 comes to an end, you have filled it with magic for many. Oh, thank you so much. You will never be a nobody from Canada. You're my damn hero and inspire me to live a better life. Happy New Year. Oh, thank you so much. That is one of the nicest things. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate that, man, very, very much. And it's been a great year. It's been a great year. When I broke out and started doing things on my own, I knew 2019 was going to be the year. I knew I could get through 2018. No matter how successful or how much of a failure my own personal YouTube channel was, I knew I could get through 2018 regardless. Question is, when I started out on my own, I started the John Campea YouTube channel. It was going to be 2019 was going to be the year that would either I would know it was working or I was going to have to fold up shop. We've crossed 200,000 subscribers. We just crossed the 100 million view mark. So thank you to everybody again for the 100 million views. Clearly, and we have bigger numbers now than we've ever had, and I'm having more fun than I've ever had. And things are going great. So thank you, Kenneth, for being a part of all that. Thank you for the kind words. And I hope you have a marvelous New Year's Eve. Be safe, everybody. And I hope for a triumphant 2020 filled with glorious victory for all of us. So thanks a lot for that, Kenneth. All right. The Cinematic Experience writes, here's hoping for a creative horror next decade. I think we've gotten some good creative horror just in the last couple of years. But here's hoping that trend, I thought 2017 and 2018 were really good for horror. 2019 had a couple of shining spots, but it was a little bit of a step back. But we've got a lot of really interesting horror in 2020, so let's keep our fingers crossed. The Cinematic Experience also writes, most memorable film of the decade to you. Off the top of my head, I'm probably going to say The King's Speech. I think The King's Speech is a masterful movie. Whether or not I'd call it the most memorable, I'm not really sure, but just for now, off the top of my head, I'll say The King's Speech with Colin Firth. Dancing Dog 60 writes, Happy New Year, John and Rob. I think Gina Carano should play Big Barda. Should the New Gods movie ever get made? What do you think, John and Rob? Well, everybody knows what I'm going to say, Dancing Dog. I don't care. I don't do questions, just so you know, in case you haven't heard this before, I don't do questions about should X actor play X role. Because you have no idea. For instance, here's the thing. You say she should play Big Barda, but you have no idea, if she ever gets around to making New Gods, which I don't think New Gods is going to happen. They keep saying Ava DuVernay is going to direct New Gods, which will be really interesting if she does, but I still don't think it's going to happen. But maybe it will. If it does, and Big Barda's a part of it, you have no idea how they're going to write Big Barda, right? Just like Joker. If you had Jared Leto's Joker, not Jared Leto, but the Joker character as written in Suicide Squad, would Joaquin Phoenix have been a good casting for that? Actually, no. Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't have been a good casting for that Joker, the way that Joker was written. Joaquin Phoenix was perfect for this Joker, the way they wrote this Joker. Joaquin Phoenix was perfect for it. And so it's always kind of I consider it a little bit of a fool's errand to try to speculate about who should play which role when we don't even know how that role is going to be. So my answer is always, hey, as long as it's a good actor, then I'm fine. I'll leave it up to the filmmakers if they think that this or that actor is a good fit for a particular role. That'll be fine, but I don't know what the role is going to be. I don't know how that role is going to be portrayed or played out. And so there's no point in me saying that this actor or that actor would be best for it. So that's just kind of my thing, Dancing Dog. But I do think Gina Carano has shown a lot of improvement with her role in The Mandalorian. I've always loved Gina Carano, but she's never been the best actress. But I think in The Mandalorian, she showed a lot of progress. All right. Clever to Swear writes, why the fook do I want a caravan that's got no fucking wheels? I believe that is my favorite Guy Ritchie movie, Snatch. And I think that's The Pikeys, I believe. So wasn't that Brad Pitt that said that in there? Anyway, I hope that's the right one because I absolutely love that movie. All right. Laugh Warehouse writes, Happy New Year, John and Rob. Thank you so much, Laugh Warehouse. What was your guys' favorite experience from this year? Here's to another year of more movie talk with my favorite Canadian. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think about it and actually go through like maybe my Facebook timeline and look at all the things that have happened. But so I might change my answer later, but it's hard not to say the 100 million view party that we just did a couple of weeks ago. The 100 million view event was such a special, special night. Thanks to all of you guys who came out for it and were a part of that. It was such a special evening. So I got to say for me, I can't speak for Rob, obviously, but I got to say for me, at least right now, until I sit down and maybe think about it, the 100 million view event was really special for me. So thank you for asking, Laugh Warehouse. All right, 50 Shades of Geek writes, regarding the Pokemon, the Pokemon thing again. Regarding the Pokemon or Pokemon controversy, let me settle the debate. Robert is saying it correctly. It's Pocket Monsters, not Pocket. But it's not Pocket Monsters. It's not Pocket Monsters. It's Pocket Monsters. Not Pocket, but not Pocket either. Monsters. If you Google Pokemon pronunciation, say Pokemon. But again, you're kind of contradicting yourself there, 50 Shades. It's not Pocket Monsters, it's Pocket Monsters. So, I mean, I don't know. Listen, the bottom line here, in case I was not clear on this before, is I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it's Pokemon, Shakamon. I don't care. I don't care. I find it interesting, but I really don't care which way it's pronounced. I've always said Pokemon. I will continue to say Pokemon. If other people tell me that that's correct, other people tell me that's incorrect, but I don't care because I just don't care enough about Pokemon. Sorry about that. Anyway, 50 Shades also writes, it's very well documented that even the characters in the Pokemon anime pronounce it wrong sometimes, for the first 10 seasons at least. Robert's pronunciation is correct, the same as in the theme song. End of discussion. Can we move on now? I have Pokken, but not Pokemon. So, and again, other people disagree, but I don't care. 50 Shades also writes, somewhere between my cat's rants and the Pokemon discussion yesterday, you missed a tip I sent where I was sorry you couldn't see your family. Oh, no, I think I saw that. I think I got that one. I also asked if you could schedule another date soon. I'm hoping I can go back and see my family sometime in late January or February. That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get out there sometime in January or February. It just really sucks I wasn't able to see them this Christmas. 50 Shades also writes, Israel is the size of a speck next to North America. My parents are a 20-minute drive away in another city, and I can visit them any day. I can't begin to imagine what it's like for you. I feel for you, man. Yeah, and the funny thing is, Anne, like, her mom lives like 50 miles away. Her mom lives just like an hour and a bit away in Corona, and we actually go out there most weekends and visit her mom. I only get to see my mom about once a year. So, yeah, it really does suck. It's one of the things I love living in LA. There's so much I love about it, but one of the things I really don't like is the fact that I never get to see my family. Let's see. Film Boss writes, John, sir, lose one, gain one. All theaters no longer offer assigned seating, or every screening henceforth begins within 5 minutes of its scheduled and advertised start time. Have a nice day. Well, actually, first of all, those are both things that absolutely should be a part of the movie-going experience. Starting the movie on time and having assigned seats. Those are two things that absolutely is a no-brainer. They absolutely both must be. If I had to pick one, though, it's the pre-assigned seating. I should just, in everything else in life, when you buy a seat to anything, you know what seat you're getting. That's the way it is in life. Go to a baseball game, you know exactly where your seat is. You picked your seat. You know where you're going to sit, and you picked your seat. An airplane, you know where your seat is. You know what you're getting. Unless you fly Southwest, but that's besides. You're going to the opera, you know what your seat is. You're going to go see a live stage show of Hamilton, you know where your seat is. And you don't have to worry about getting there early to get the seat that you want, or you have to stand in line for 3 hours just to make sure you get a decent seat. I will always go with that one, but that doesn't mean the other one shouldn't be there as well. But I'll say if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick that pre-signed seating. All right, Derek Large writes, finally got around to I, Tonya. Great movie. How great was Sebastian Stan? He was very good in it. As someone who has only seen him as Bucky, he really knocked my socks off. Yeah, he was good. He was very good. And he gets overlooked because, number one, Margot Robbie, who was amazing in it. Number two, why am I freezing on the actress's name? She was in West Wing, and she won the Academy Award for I, Tonya, for Best Supporting Actress. So you had Margot Robbie, who was nominated for Best Actress. You had West Wing girl, who I can't believe I'm freezing on her name, who won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. You're going to get overshadowed. You're going to get overlooked. Sebastian Stan, it was not an Academy nominated worthy performance, but it was really good. Sebastian Stan was really good in that, because when you're in a movie, when you're acting alongside two other actors that are winning Academy Awards and you hold your own, that says a lot. And I thought Sebastian Stan was really good in that. And just, I, Tonya's so good. All right, 50 Shades writes, I just love that you took my silly comment about Deadpool making money and gave it a porn example. Best segue ever. I do try my best, 50 Shades. Who also writes, Jason Elwood Hanna made a great point on the comments. It's a Pokemon because key pronounced K and J. Again, I don't care. 50 Shades writes, I've always said that Jason Elwood Hanna is a good looking and hilarious for, there's a little bit of a play on the words on what we have in our tips section. Very good, 50 Shades. All right, Russell Amador writes, hey, John, what are your thoughts on reports claiming that Mandalorian Season 2 will include characters from the Skywalker saga? Would you have any in mind that you can see making the leap to the show? I don't like it at all. That doesn't mean it can't work. Be clear on that. The worst ideas can turn in good results sometimes. So it can work. But you guys know how I feel about that. I don't want to continually be shrinking the Star Wars universe. And that's what Lucasfilm has been doing the last bunch of years. Everything they do, they just shrink the Star Wars universe. Everybody knows everybody. And despite the fact that the universe is huge and vast and large, we keep bumping into people we already know. You know, it's ridiculous. And one of the things I love about Mandalorian was it was finally telling new stories with new characters. It's in an environment we're familiar with. That's the context that the universe is in, and that's fine. But constantly having to trip over characters we already know, it just keeps shrinking the universe more and more and more. My allegory for this has always been, you can tell how big of a town you live in if you just go out on the sidewalk and walk up and down your street, if you bump into 3 people you know, you probably live in a pretty small town. If you're like me and you live in Los Angeles, I can go in Los Angeles for days and not bump into somebody I know. That shows me I'm in a really big city. If I go out in Hamilton, which is smaller than Los Angeles, still a big city, but I will bump into more people I know. So it's because it's a smaller town. But that's what Star Wars has been. They've always just keep shrinking it. We keep bumping into people we know. And so I really hope they don't. I'll just say that. Again, it doesn't mean it couldn't work if they do it. But I really, really hope they don't, because I want them to start expanding the Star Wars universe, not continuously contracting it. All right, Captain Lakari writes, is Ben the new Martha? Both turned bad guy good. No. And I think that's and I don't want to go into any spoilers in Star Wars, so I'm not going to go into the Star Wars example. But I still believe the Martha thing is misunderstood. And I actually did a whole video called Defending the Martha Scene in Batman vs. Superman, because I honestly believe just most film fans misunderstand that scene and misunderstand what was going on. Now, that is also partially Zack Snyder's fault for not clearly communicating what was happening. But honestly, I got what Zack Snyder was going for in that. And I think just a lot of people missed the point of it. And if you're interested in knowing more, search on YouTube for John Campea Defending the Martha Scene. If you search that, you should be able to find it. And I give my defense of the Martha scene. Anyway, Tony Rodriguez writes, Hey, John, did a little Google research on places that serve peanut butter on burgers in California for you. Well, thank you, Tony. Flaming Grill Cafe in West Sacramento. That's way too far from me. Grill 'em All in Alhambra. That's actually not very far from where I am in Alhambra. Flaming Grill in Country Club Plaza, also in Sacramento. Sacramento's like hours away from me. Slater's 50/50 in Huntington Beach. That's also a little bit of a trip. But Alhambra is only about a 20-minute drive from where I am. Grill 'em All. I might have to try that. For some reason, peanut butter on a burger has kind of become a thing around here. I don't know why we got into it, but it's there. And if that's in Alhambra, I might have to drive down and maybe give that a shot. Thank you for the research, Tony. I appreciate it. All right. Captain Lakari writes, I saw Cats last night. My eyes are still burning. Yeah, man. It's just too bad. I know the studio had such high hopes for that movie. Studio had such high hopes for that movie. And it's just, there's such good people attached to it. It's really too bad it's turning out that way. 50 Shades writes, so Robert, the main planet in The Mandalorian is called Navarro. That's nice, right? Sure. Unfortunately, Robert's not here to address that himself. Sorry about that. Michael Stankewitz? Anyway, sends in a really large super chat. Thank you for that, Michael, for supporting the channel on that level, man. I appreciate that. Hey, John, I'm watching your show for some time already. Thank you so much, and I absolutely love it. Back to the Witcher subject. Do you think Mark Hamill has a chance to play Vesemir in Season 2, and will they change Nilfgaardian armor? I don't think so. And quite frankly, and I love Mark Hamill. I love Mark Hamill. I don't think that's a role for him. I don't think that's the role for him. I know there was some joking going around online, and who knows? I'm not saying they definitely won't do it, not at all. But I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. I just don't see that as the right role for him. Now, as far as do I think they'll change the Nilfgaardian armors, I don't see why they should. I mean, it looked great in the show. I don't see any reason why not to. It's working. And then you'd have to explain why they changed the armor. So I think it works completely fine. Again, to the Mark Hamill thing, though. Mark Hamill is a super talented dude, but he needs to be in the right roles for him. And when he's put in the right roles, he's a highlight and an absolute pleasure to watch. I don't know if he would have as much fun or be as effective in a role that's not quite the right fit for him. And me personally, despite what some people are talking about online, I just don't see that as being the right fit for him. Now, maybe there are other people who know the Witcher lore way better than I do beyond like the third video game and a little bit of the reference stuff that I became familiar with that might suggest otherwise, and that's fine. But for me, I actually don't think that's that good of a fit. So I'm going to go no, despite the fact that I love Mark Hamill so much. Anyway, again, thank you for supporting the channel on that level, man, and I appreciate you sending that in, dude. All right. I have telepathy writes. Hey, John. I sent in a couple of large super chats a few weeks ago. Was wondering you'll be making the personalized video. I know it's holiday season. Everyone had a ton going on. I'm just curious what I can expect. If you sent them in weeks ago, then they're already done. You can look on my YouTube channel. Let me see if I can bring it up here. You can look on my YouTube channel. Let me see if I can get this popped up here. Okay, so you can go to my YouTube channel. And on my YouTube channel, let me see if I can bring this up here. Oh, I don't know that I can. Give me a second to see if I can bring this up. On my YouTube channel, I have a what do you call it? I have a playlist. That's it. That's what we call those things. Playlists. I have a playlist of, and I should be able to bring that up now. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can pop this up. We have a playlist of those videos. And you can see that right up here, or sorry, right over there. It's called User Submitted Topics. Let me see if I can highlight that for you. That whole right there. We have this playlist called User Submitted Topics. So we are caught up as to just a week ago. Now we're about 4 or 5 behind right now. So I got to record the next batch. But everyone that was sent in has been answered and is in there. So I would say go to User Submitted Topics, search, make sure you look at the play all or look at the entire playlist because you should be able to find your questions in there. That's where you should be able to find them. is in that. And again, don't just look on the main page. You have to go into the full playlist. Go click on the play all thing, and you should be able to see them. So if I hit click the play all thing, hold a second, let me pause that. And then you should see, yeah, there's a whole ton of them over here. See this? In this side, there's a whole ton of them there. So go into there, and that's where you should be able to find the ones you've done. If for whatever reason you go in there and you don't see the ones that you've submitted, and it has indeed been several weeks since you sent them in, fire me off an email with exactly what your question was about, but I'm pretty sure you'll find that it's in there if it was several weeks ago. If it was within the last week or so, then it just may not have been answered yet, and we're going to be doing the next batch in the next day or two. But up until that, they should all be in there. All right, so double check on that. And again, if you have trouble finding it, email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. All right, thanks for that. All right, Ethan Hunt writes, not a huge sword and sorcery fan, but I wanted to watch Witcher because I wanted to support Henry Cavill. It's not bad, just not my thing maybe. I may change my mind when I watch all of it though. Listen, I'll tell you what. I often reject the notion of, you got to get like 5 episodes in. No. A show should be able to grab you right off the bat. Movies do, at least that's their job. So shows should be able to grab you within the first episode or two. But I do got to say, there are revelations in this show that change your perception of the first few episodes. It's difficult to go into without giving away spoilers. But I would say this. If you just straight up disliked the first couple of episodes, then maybe Witcher's not for you. All film and television is subjective, and if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, no problem. But I would recommend that even if you remotely like them, like if you thought they were okay, I would say keep pressing, because I think you're going to discover that you're going to have your perception change to the first couple episodes. Again, I can't go into how or why. So again, if you didn't like them at all, I'd say ditch the show, go watch another show that hopefully will be more one to your liking. If you even remotely enjoyed it, I would say keep pressing forward, because I think you might be pleasantly surprised. All right, thanks for sending that in, Ethan. I hope that was helpful. Okay, Muhammad writes in, Cats is bad, but 10 minutes or so are actually really good. The songs, memory, and beautiful ghosts. Besides that, the whole movie is just cats introducing themselves for the 100th time. 10 out of the 16 songs featured are cats introducing themselves. Meow. Eesh. That doesn't sound great. That does not sound great. But it's good to know, listen, even in the worst of movies, there are good things to find, Muhammad, and I'm glad that you're the type of film fan that even though you dislike a movie, you can find the elements in it that you thought were okay and that you enjoyed. So good on you for that. All right, Cody Carroll writes, watch the prequels in between 5 and 6 and treat them as flashbacks after Luke discovers Vader is his dad. It adds much more impact to their parallel journeys. I don't know, man. I'm still really hardcore of the belief that the best way to watch them is just in release order. I think the best way is just to watch them in release order. The prequels, and besides, it makes no difference to me now because I've seen all the Star Wars movies. Most people have seen all the Star Wars movies, but certainly not everybody has. But I still contend the way to watch them is in order of release. That's the best way to me. But if you found that way works for you, then that's awesome. Cody also writes, so then you get the coming of Vader right after you find out the truth about Vader, and then you get the conclusion of Vader right afterwards. Again, but if we already know all this stuff, it really doesn't, I don't see how it has any significant impact if we already know all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like if we already know all of that information, does it really make that much of a difference? I'm not sure that you can make an argument that it does. So anyway, that's just how I kind of feel about it. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Everybody's got their own little ways of like which order you should watch Star Wars in. I think for everybody that would have a certain particular impact. All right, Ethan Hunt writes, I like Dave Filoni and Ahsoka in small doses, but my God, if they don't get rid of her soon, they're going to retcon her into the throne room scene and Return of the Jedi. Well, I mean, I don't know. Let's be fair. Look, I don't like the Ahsoka character. I've never been big on the Ahsoka character. Although I thought she had some highlight moments in the Rebels series. I'll give it that. I really do. But Yeah, I'd be just as happy for them to wipe the Ahsoka Tano character out. I mean, no, don't take her out of canon. She's canon. You don't touch canon. But I'd be totally down for them never, ever mentioning her again. I'd be totally good with that. But let's be fair. It's not like they put Ahsoka Tano in Rogue One, and then they put her in Solo, and then they put her in Rise of Skywalker, and then they put her in Mandalorian, and then, you know, I mean, let's be fair. It's not like they've been over inundating us with Ahsoka Tano, right? They haven't been over inundated. So I don't like her either, but let's be fair. They haven't been overdoing it too much. All right, Brandon Blake writes, is Dark Side, Light Side still happening? Again, going back to Ben's question earlier, we kind of addressed it. Unfortunately, it's just a scheduling thing. You know, I think Christian's got some really great things going on. He's, you know, it's not quite as fun for him to talk about Star Wars right now. And I got a new thing going on that I'm not announcing yet, but I'll make the announcement in the next couple of weeks. And there's no more. We don't even know when the next Star Wars is coming. We have no idea. It could be 2 years until we get another Star Wars movie. Could be 3 or 4 years till we get another Star Wars movie. We don't really know when the Obi-Wan series is coming. And so as of right now, Dark Side, Light Side is on hiatus. I'm going to put it that way. It's on hiatus. It's not done, but for now it's on hiatus till we get a little closer to when we know more Star Wars is coming. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, New Year's Eve birthdays. Nicholas Sparks, really, is 53. That dude's, that's a success. Like or hate his work, that dude's successful. Val Kilmer turned 60. BB Nurith turned 61. Tim Matheson, 71. Taylor Hackford, 74. Ben Kingsley turned 75. Really? And Anthony Hopkins and Ben Kingsley share a birthday? That's awesome. By the way, Anthony Hopkins, that dude just keeps rolling. 2 popes. I mean, this dude just keeps rocking out amazing stuff. It doesn't matter how old this guy gets. All right, Stubble McShave writes, big heist epics of the 90s were great. What are your favorites? Man, I'm trying to remember which ones were in the 90s. I can't pull that one. I mean, when did The Italian Job come out? That one was pretty good. Hold a second. Italian Job. IMDb. So if that came out in the 90s, I'll go with that. No, that one was 2003. I'd have to sit down and look up which ones were in the 90s. I'm not great with dates. So I don't know that off the top of my head. Blake writes, love the Star Wars extended canon, but do you think at times it hurts the franchise? I just see so much infighting about contradictions, etc. The MCU, for example, isn't bound to any non-movie material, and I think in a way that helps it. Thanks. Well, honestly, Blake, here's the reality. The reality is not a lot of people know the extended universe stuff. A very small percentage of the actual Star Wars fandom actually read the Star Wars books. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a very small percentage of big Star Wars fans actually read the books. And so I really don't think it's enough people to cause a significant problem. Listen, the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars fandom clearly have some challenges right now, but I don't think any of those real big challenges are the things that you're talking about right now. So I honestly think that that's probably not one of the issues. We've got several other, in the Star Wars fan community, there's several other much bigger problems. But that's, in particular, I don't think that's one of them. All right, Anonymous writes, hey, Gio and crew. Before I got to enjoy The Rise of Skywalker, my Regal Cinema showed 7 minutes of TV ads and then 11 trailers. Being on time is a New Year's resolution we can all pursue. And listen, you know me, guy, this is going to become a big issue for me, I think for 2020, is really trying to mount a campaign with people to communicate to movie theaters, you are hurting the movie-going experience. You tell us a movie starts at 7, start the movie at 7. Or at least a lot closer. It is unacceptable and unreasonable that you tell us the movie's at 7 and it doesn't actually start till 7:30. That's unfair. We paid for our tickets to be there. This isn't a free screening, and therefore to get the free screening, we sit through some ads. I could understand that, but this isn't a free screening. You don't get to make us pay to sit down to watch commercials. That's unacceptable. We're paying to sit down and watch commercials? Unacceptable. And they either need to change that or they need to start posting 2 separate times. They need to post the showtime starts at 7, but the movie starts at 7:28. They need to start advertising what time the actual movie starts, because we paid for our movie tickets. We paid to be there. And that's going to become a little bit of a campaign of mine in 2020, I believe, because I believe it's actually turning some people away from the movies. Like, they don't even know when a movie starts now. And the movie starts at 7, but who knows when we're actually getting out of the theater. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it, it's unacceptable. And I think it's hurting them. I think it's hurting them, and they don't even realize it. But anyway, there's that. Sorry you had that experience, Anonymous. I really do. All right. Next up here, Amir R. writes, greetings and happy New Year's from Qatar. Thank you so much, Amir. As a new decade nears, I thought I would mention 5 underrated shows from the past decade. 5, The Good Fight. I'm not familiar with that. 4, Orphan Black. I don't know if that's underrated. A lot of people love Orphan Black. Number 3, Hannibal. Again, a lot of people love that show. Number 2, Line of Duty. I'm not familiar with that one. On the BBC. That's probably why I'm not familiar with that one. And number 1, The Americans. I highly recommend all of them. I'll tell you what, The Americans is the one you just mentioned that really stands out to me, because I also never watched The Americans. I've never seen it, but I've heard nothing but great things about it from reviews, and it gets tons of award nominations, but I don't even know a single person that watches it. So I've always been fascinated. It's got Kerry Russell, of course, in the new Star Wars movie. That is one that I'm going to have to say, because I don't even know people that watch it, but I keep reading amazing things about it. It gets all these award nominations, all this kind of stuff. I got to say that fits the category of underappreciated or underrated show. So I might have to at some point try to binge that American show, because everybody keeps talking about how wonderful it is. And I don't even know a single person personally who has seen it. So I might have to get on that train, Amir. Thanks a lot for sharing that, dude. All right. Corey Marshall writes, hey, John, a big fan since your Indiana Jones 4 review on the movie blog. Oh, thanks so much, man. It's not often that we get people, like a lot of times people have been around since the AMC days. Not a lot of people around since the movie blog days. That's going back a ways. Your work ethic continues to inspire me. Well, thank you so much for that, Corey. And honestly, seriously, thank you so much for being around for that long, because going all the way back to the movie blog days, that's some endurance right there, buddy. That is some endurance. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being along on this entire journey. And thank you again for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate that. All right. Next up, Casinema Reviews writes, anybody who didn't like The Rise of Skywalker is a complete moron. These people understand nothing about film. I don't know what to say to you, Casinema Reviews, because I didn't like the last Skywalker, or The Rise of Skywalker. So, yeah, and I know something about film. I'm not the world's foremost expert on movies by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's fair to say I know a little something about film. Yeah, I didn't like it, and I'm not a moron, and I do know something about film, and I didn't like it. I like all the other Star Wars movies, but I didn't like that. So, and you got to be careful, man. You're really dipping your toe into becoming a toxic thing in the fandom. You're adding to the toxicity by saying something that's stupid. So just not stupid that you liked it, but saying the things you're saying is, I'll say it straight up. Tough love, brother to brother. That's an idiotic thing to say. And you are now part of the problem. You are now a part of the problem. You are contributing to the toxicity in the fandom by being like that. So cut it out. All right. Arcast 6 writes, Zimmer's Dark Knight, It Man of Steel score. Zimmer's Dark Knight, It Man of Steel score. I'm sorry, Arcast. I'm not quite sure what it is you're trying to say. I love both of those scores, particularly his Man of Steel score, which is amazing. So other than that, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. Sorry about that, dude. Faye Haberfeld writes, quick thoughts on Little Women, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Clemency, Richard Jewell. Haven't seen it yet. Loved it. Decent. So that's my quick thoughts on all those movies. Eric writes, hey, Gio, just want to say thank you for your awesome work this year. Thank you so much. You have given us great insight, entertainment, and always kept us well informed. The whole crew have been truly amazing as well. And man, do I love to see my man, Robert Bra Burnett. Cheers, Bra. Well, thank you so much, Eric. And it has been a wonderful, fun year. around here on the channel. We've hit a lot of big milestones. The channel just continues to grow, and I have more and more fun doing it, and we get more and more people as a part of the fan community, which is always great. So thank you for the kind words. I'm sure Robert appreciates the kind words as well, and thank you for being part of our community, man. We appreciate it. All right, Blake writes, I think a key reason film fans can become so protective, toxic, is because unlike sports fans, there's no such assurance that things they love will continue if it doesn't perform. Sports fans always have next year. Movie fans don't if it doesn't do well. But see, this is why I don't agree with that, Blake, because movies are not about franchises. Liking or disliking movies is not about getting the next one. I don't think that's really a part of it. And listen, if somebody liked a movie or somebody doesn't like a movie that you liked, screaming at them isn't going to get another one made. It's either going to get another one or it's not, based on how well it does. You're not going to get another one made by screaming at the people who didn't like it, or vice versa. So I don't agree. I mean, you could be onto something there. Maybe what you just said, Blake, will resonate with some more people, but I don't agree with that. I don't think, because the movies aren't television series. Some function like them, but for the most part, films are films. And I don't really see it that way. And I don't think that excuses the kind of toxic behavior we see. Look, for whatever reason, when we talk about, let's say, when we're talking about movies, we have a real horrible instinct to take sides. You're not allowed, and it seems like in movies, you're not like, this one I enjoyed, this one I didn't enjoy, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like when you say you enjoy a movie, you're drawing a line in the sand. Because I'm somebody who doesn't like that movie. You're on the off, you're not on my side. You're my opponent now. It's like, what the fuck kind of mentality is that? What kind of mentality is that? But that is really more and more how film fandom has become very tribal in that way. You don't like this movie I like? Then you're against me. They take it personally. Now, not only is it, well, you just don't like that movie. Now you're against me if you didn't like that movie. It's like, what? No, we're both still just film fans. You liked it, I didn't. What's the problem? No. Now you're against me. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And it really is the foundational thing of toxic fandom that we're in right now. And it's got to change. And no, I don't think that I disagree with your assessment of that, Blake. Again, what you say might resonate with some other people, but I just don't see it that way. Anyway, and then Blake says, and I'm not condoning said behavior or anything. It's healthy. It's just a theory. It's just a theory as to why it happens so often. Some film fans think that if other people don't love this thing that they love, then it'll be taken away from them. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I think we're also smart enough to know that if you don't like a show that I like, me screaming at you isn't going to make you suddenly like it. Me calling your mom a mistress of the night is not going to suddenly make you like that movie. So I don't think that's part of it. I really don't. I really don't think that's part of it. But it's an interesting perspective. It's a different way of looking at it. And I can appreciate that. I just disagree at this point. All right. Carlos Sosa writes, hey, John, it was a good year for Star Wars. I quite enjoyed Fallen Order. Fallen Order is really good. The Mandalorian, which is great. And I had fun with The Rise of Skywalker. Is the future bright for Star Wars? Well, the thing is, we don't even know when the next Star Wars is coming out. I mean, the most tangible thing we have is the Obi-Wan series that is being directed by Deborah Chow, who I still think directed the two best episodes of the series. All due respect for Taika Waititi with that episode 8 thing he did, which was episode 8 was great. But yeah, I think, so there are things to be enthusiastic about, but it's difficult to say in a definitive way, the future looks bright for Star Wars when we don't even know when the next Star Wars movie is coming out. We have no idea what the next Star Wars movie is, and we have no idea when we're going to get it. There was this December 2022 date, but that was going to be for Benioff and Weiss, and now they're gone. Are they still going to have a movie out in 2022? I don't know. I suspect maybe not. I hope we do, but you're right. It's for, like, I didn't like The Rise of Skywalker, but it was still a pretty good year for Star Wars. Like you mentioned, Mandalorian, a huge win. Fallen Order, huge win. And even The Rise of Skywalker, it's going to be yet another billion-dollar film for the Star Wars franchise. So why not? It's just that I can't really definitively say the future's bright when I don't even know what the future is right now. All right, a fan of Peanuts writes, my list: 10, The Rise of Skywalker. 9, Endgame. 8, Tie, Marriage Story, and Dr. Sleep. Number 7, Knives Out. Number 6, The Lighthouse. Number 5, Ford v Ferrari and Booksmart. Number 4, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Number 3, The Farewell. Number 2, The Irishman and Boy Honey. I think you mean Honey Boy. Number 1, Joker. I haven't yet seen Parasite 1917 or Little Women. Jojo, solid 8 out of 10. Well, again, like Jojo Rabbit to me is the best film of the year. So my personal top 5 is Jojo, Parasite, Knives Out, The Farewell, and Ford v Ferrari. And then I've got Joker and Booksmart right now tied for number 6, just outside of the top 5. But hey, a lot of great movies on your list, man. A lot of great movies on your list. And then a fan of Peanuts follows up and writes, FYI, John, I had to put The Rise of Skywalker on my 10 list as Star Wars is my favorite thing ever. Even though it is the weakest of the 3 new films, it would be blasphemy. I don't know. I don't think you have to. Just because Star Wars is your favorite thing doesn't mean you have to put it on your top 10 list, right? Like Star Wars and comic book movies are my favorite kind of movies. But this year, other than Joker, which is a very different movie for a comic book movie, other than Joker, I don't have any Star Wars. Well, there's only one Star Wars movie, but I'm not going to have any Star Wars or comic book movies in my top 10 list this year, other than Joker, which will make the top 10. But those are still my favorite kinds of movies. So I don't know that you have, I mean, hey, listen, if Rise of Skywalker is indeed your 10th favorite film of the year, then by all means put it in your number 10 spot. But I would suggest to you, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because if Rise of Skywalker isn't your actual 10th favorite film of the year, then you don't need to have it on just because you're a Star Wars fan. You can put something else on there and still have Star Wars as your favorite thing in the world. Star Wars is my favorite thing in the world. I didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. That's okay. Star Wars is still my favorite thing in the world. I can still love Star Wars. I can still be excited about, can't wait to see whatever it is they do next, just because I didn't like this one particular movie. And that's okay. But anyway, thanks for your list, man. You got a really, really good picks on there, fan of Peanuts. All right. Robert Kirkland writes, hey, John, happy almost 2020. Thank you so much. A Mandalorian question. Now, I'm not going to go into any heavy spoilers, just so you know. Do you think Moff is after Baby Yoda as a scheme to eliminate Luke and overthrow the New Republic? Thanks. I don't think so. There are a couple of different theories that Moff Gideon is working with the Emperor. I don't see any proof of that. There's also no big organized empire at this point. They're all just kind of like individual warlords. So I don't see Moff Gideon needing to eliminate Luke Skywalker. I think whatever he wants Baby Yoda for is for his own personal gain. So yeah, again, I mean, maybe it could involve the Emperor. Maybe it could involve Luke Skywalker. It's just at this point, I don't see any evidence showing any connection there. So my best guess is that whatever he's after, it's for his own personal gain. That's probably separate from that. So just his own accumulation of power. That's my guess, but I could be totally wrong about that. Let's see as we progress. All right. Thanks for that, Rob. All right. Juicy Smoulier. Justice for Juicy. Very nice name. I love that you put that in there. Top 10 worst 2019. Number 10, 6 Underground. Number 9, Rambo. Number 8, What Men Want. Number 7, Velvet Buzzsaw. Number 6, Hellboy. Number 5, Dark Phoenix. Number 4, Stuber. Number 3, A Medea Funeral. Number 2, Pet Cemetery. Number 1, The Kitchen. Honorable mentions, Gemini Man, Lego 2, and Godzilla. I didn't mind Lego 2. I also didn't hate Godzilla. But yeah, there's some pretty bad films on there. Now, I said on my show earlier today that somebody asked me if I was going to do a top 10 worst films of the year list, and I always have, but I'm not going to do that this year. What is the point of making a top 10 worst films of the year list other than just to be hateful? And I've done them every year. So I'm not saying I'm above it because I've done it. I just think I just don't want to do that anymore. You know, my channel is about being honest. So when there's something that I don't like, I'll say I don't like it. But I want it to be about celebrating the things we love. Television, movies, great storytelling. That's what I want my channel to be about, the celebration of the things we love. Now, that'll mean sometimes there's going to be a movie or a TV show that comes out that we're going to watch and not like, and we're going to talk about why we didn't like it and all that kind of stuff. And when certain topics come up that bring up series or franchises or movies or TV shows we don't like, we'll mention again we don't like them. But I don't really want to go out of my way to make a hateful list just for the sake of putting together a hateful list. And I have no problem with anybody else who does it. None at all. Like I said, I've done it myself every single year. So I have no problem theoretically with anybody that wants to put together a top 10 best list and a top 10 worst list. That's totally fair and totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just know that is kind of contrary to what I want my channel to be about. And so I just made the decision I'm not going to do a top 10 worst this year. And I know, and I'm going to suffer for it because top 10 worst movies lists get more views and more clicks than my top 10 favorite lists usually. So I'm going to take a hit, but that's okay. Just that's just not what I want my channel to be about. Anyway, that's just me. But that's nothing wrong, Juicy, with you making your list of the movies that really disappointed you. There's nothing wrong with that at all, man. You got some truly bad films on there. You really do. Min Tran writes, top 10. Number 1, Jojo Rabbit. Number 2, Little Women. Number 3, Peanut Butter Falcon. Number 4, Joker. Number 5, Ford v Ferrari. Number 6, Dr. Sleep, which is going to go down as the most underrated and underappreciated movie of the year. Dr. Sleep is fantastic. Anyway, number 7, Toy Story 4. Number 8, Knives Out. Number 9, Bombshell. Number 10, The Art of Self-Defense, which is another underrated one. I was very, very late to the party in The Art of Self-Defense for a couple reasons. I was kind of not going to press screenings, and it was kind of weird knowing when it came out and what was playing. I'm not a big fan of Lex Luthor boy, Jesse Eisenberg. I'm not a big fan of Jesse Eisenberg, but I also don't dislike him tremendously. But so there was a lot of reasons I wasn't really interested. I got around to it late in the game a few months ago, and it's quite good. It really is quite good. So some very good, solid films on your list there, Min. Thanks for sharing it, man. All right, Jacob Ibarra writes, in your opinion, which is the better movie? Star Wars: Return of the Jedi or Lord of the Rings: Return of the King? It really depends on the specific way we ask the question. Like, for instance, on one hand, I've always said that the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is the single greatest achievement when you consider all the different arts and disciplines that go into making a movie. That Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is the single greatest achievement maybe in cinematic history on that level. Because look, it won the Academy Award for Best Writing, Best Cinematography, Best Costume, Best Hair and Makeup, Best Directing, Best this, Best that, Best everything. So it's hard not to say that, but that's not necessarily saying it is the best film ever made. Because I don't think Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is the best film ever made, but it's the greatest achievement. To me, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi is the greatest movie of the greatest franchise. Star Wars, to me, is the greatest franchise. Of all Star Wars, Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie in the franchise. So I'm going to go and say it's very difficult. And again, it comes very down nitpicky to how do we define certain things? Like, how are we specifically defining what is the better movie? But for just all intents and purposes and all the things being equal, I'm going to lean towards Return of the Jedi. All right. John Early writes, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the 2 Jack Ryan films that Harrison Ford did. Harrison Ford did 3, if I'm not mistaken. No. He only did the 2. That's right. Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. Love them both. I thought they were both fantastic. I thought Patriot Games was wonderful. The Clear and Present Danger. These cartels represent a clear and present danger. I mean, I like the whole interaction with President. I mean, I just love those films. They are the best Jack Ryan things we've ever had, other than Hunt for Red October. And Hunt for Red October was really more about the Sean Connery character than it was about Jack Ryan, who at the time was being played by Alec Baldwin. And Alec Baldwin did a very good job playing Jack Ryan. But so it's weird to say. I think the best movie with Jack Ryan is Hunt for Red October. I think the best Jack Ryan movies, because I don't consider Hunt for Red October a Jack Ryan movie. I consider that a movie with Jack Ryan as one of the main characters. But I consider Clear and Present Danger, and Patriot Games as Jack Ryan movies. Those are the best Jack Ryan movies. Even better than the new Amazon show. So yeah, I love those things. I think they're fantastic movies, John. All right. King Latom writes, we need a Witcher spoiler talk, John. There's really not a lot of outlets discussing Witcher spoilers. Also, I love the song of the White Wolf. There's some pretty good original music for this show. There is. You know what? I think I finally got talked into it. I've had enough of you guys telling me now that you want us to do a Witcher spoiler discussion. So I think probably this week, not tomorrow, because that's New Year's Day. I'm going to be a mess. But I think this week probably we will do a Witcher spoiler review. So keep your eyes open. I'll let you guys know when it's coming. We can jump on there and discuss it all together. So thanks for your vote on that, King Latam. I appreciate that. All right, Sujith writes, the competition for Oscar contention shows we've been spoiled with many exceptional movies this year. I am so happy with the movies we got in 2019. Sujith, you're absolutely on the money. It never ceases to amaze me as we get close to the end of the year, but particularly this year, we have gotten some freaking awesome cinema this year. Just some awesome cinema this year. This was truly a great year. AV Cali writes, what do you think we will see in Loki, the Disney Plus show? Oh, I have no idea. We're going to see Loki, being mischievous and all that kind of stuff. But remember, this is Loki before he kind of had his turn back to the light side. You know, it's before all that. This is the Loki after the first Avengers movie. So I think we're going to see him being mischievous. That's what I think we're going to see. All right. Fan of Peanuts writes, we're at here. The Witcher has Netflix. The Witcher has Netflix had 10 years built in with like 190 million accounts. Oh, I see what you're saying. The Witcher has Netflix. That had like 10 years built in with like 190 million accounts versus Disney's 2-month existence on streaming and only 10 to 15 million accounts. Yep, that's true. Like I said earlier today, we were talking about the fact that The Witcher has surpassed Mandalorian as the #1 in-demand streaming show in the world. But I said you also have to take into consideration the fact that the week that measured in, you have to understand that Witcher had 8 full episodes drop, whereas Mandalorian only had 1 new episode drop. So there's asterisks and some extenuating circumstances there, and that Fan of Peanuts, that's a legitimate one too. That's one that's definitely got to be taken into consideration as well. All right, Jonathan Joyner writes, "Hey John, my wish has been granted. The Mandalorian finished strong. Been following for 2 years now, and thanks for the company while I worked the night shift. Salute to another great year of Campea." Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. And yes, and by the way, this is a really generous super chat. Thank you for sending that in, Jonathan. That's all we were hoping for. Because listen, I've really liked The Mandalorian even before the season finale. But, some episodes weren't the strongest. For instance, I thought there was one bad episode, and that was episode 5, The Gunslinger. That was a bad episode. I liked the episode where they went and broke out the Twi'lek from the New Republic prison transfer ship, but it wasn't the best. So going into the season finale, we were all keeping our fingers crossed. Please end strong. Please end strong. And I 1000% agree with you, Jonathan. The wish was granted. We had our wish granted. The show ended, and it ended strong. And for that, I am very, very happy. And clearly you are too. So here's hoping we get some great stuff in 2020, including a great Mandalorian Season 2 in the fall of 2020. All right. Review and Play 23 writes, non-franchise movies keep your eyes on in 2020. I don't have the list of 2020 movies in front of me right now. I would have to have a list out in front of me. Again, Gentlemen, we're like coming up very, very soon, like in January. The Gentleman is one I'm really excited about. So got to keep our eyes open on that one. Mulan is one that I'm very, very excited about. I think that looks fantastic. But again, I would need to have a list in front of me, and I just don't have that off the top of my head right now. Great question. Not something I can answer off the top of my head. Derek D. Medeiros writes, audio issues on your end only. Yeah, we a little bit earlier. So on the show earlier today, like I said off the top, we started to have some audio issues. And unfortunately, we weren't able to fix those while doing a live stream. So that's tough. Oh, just fix it. You can't just fix it while you're doing the live stream. I mean, so we had to cut the show off early, and that's why we're picking up on the things now. Let's see. Seraphim Page writes, have you heard the rumor about the Darth Maul series coming to Disney Plus? That would follow Emilia Clarke's character. Any validity to this? I don't think so, but one of the things to keep your eyes on is that Ray Park just tweeted out or Instagrammed out a picture of him back in the Darth Maul outfit. That probably means nothing. It could mean something. So I'm going to sit here and say this. If I had to put $5 on it, I would say there's no validity to it. But if I had to put $50 on it, I would stay out of the bet because it's a possibility. I don't think it's a good idea, but I think it is a possibility. I don't think they will. I think the likelihood is maybe 30%, but it is possible. So let's keep our eyes on that. And then Seraphim also just reminding me and letting me know, because again, these were sent in while we were having the audio issues earlier, to let me know that the audio was cutting out. So thank you for giving me the heads up on that. Stubble McShave writes, everyone asks who would bonk Palpatine, but maybe Sheev used the Force to control the mind of Rey's grandmother when he did the deed. It would take it to a very dark place, though. True, but I believe they said it was... I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's just not even something I want to think. It was such a dumb turn. And again, I'm not going to go into spoilers too much here. But for me, it was just one of the really dumb turns of the show, at least to me. To me, it was at any rate. So it really all depends on how, we choose to look at it on that level. All right, guys. Listen, we are now all caught up on all the questions from the show earlier today. Thank you guys so much for being here and following up and let me get through all these questions. Again, my apologies for the technical issues earlier on the John Campea Show. Hopefully now we got through all the questions and all cut up. Don't forget, guys, there will be a John Campea Show. If you're watching this on New Year's Eve, there will be a John Campea Show tomorrow, but it's not going to happen until 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Normally, we're at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tomorrow, it will be 12 noon Pacific Standard Time because I'm going to let myself sleep in a little bit on New Year's Day. I'm sure you guys can understand. And hopefully, we'll have all of our audio issues fixed by then. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.